Precious Van Gogo. Number 1900 Cloak and Dragger. 15 Bolt Action. Number 23 Pegasus. Number 4 Jedi Nightingale. Number 48 Bricktator. Number 5, 6, 7 Splatter. Number 618 Cruella. Number 68 Swanson. Number 718 Lux Furious. Number 810 K-Woo. Number 89 Heart. Number 911 Pork Chop Slamwich. And number 904 Aaron Go Crawl. Give it up for Arch Rival.
All right, and seeing for AOA today, you're going to see 343 Trinity, 360 Big Bang Fury, 37 Swagatha, 39 Gaffney, 426 Ripley, 48 Brute, 50 Altered Eagle, 718 MC Slammer, number 8 Sassin, 89 HR, 617 Stomps, 19 Angela Death, and number 10 Little Regulator. Well, without further ado, let's get this game underway. Who's ready for day 2 of the Hometown Throwdown? Thanks for coming out early. I know we did not have this on the schedule before yesterday.
All right, apparently they're ready here in Portland. Welcome to Rose City Roller Derby's home, the hangar at Oaks Park, for our delayed game from yesterday. Moved up to the morning shift. Arch Rival versus the Axles of Annihilation. Good friend the King. I'm Scott Chicken. King was on the house introducing the teams, and we are just about ready to roll as the 5-second call comes in. Teams jockey for position, and we start off with Swanson jamming for Arch Rival. Trinity with the star for your Rose City Axles of Annihilation. Trinity fighting towards the back. Swanson kind of trapped into a knee at the front of the pack, trying to break through, but nothing doing. As Trinity forced out and recycles back behind the pack. Swanson continuing to push forward. One to beat, does spin through. First lead jammer of the game going to Arch Rival. Trinity passes the star off to number 50, Alter Eagle. And Swanson slides through the pack, calls off the jam, 4 points. First score is drawn by Arch Rival. Arch Rival Roller Derby expecting to play last night, as we were expecting to announce it, but there were some power issues here in Portland. A little bit of a storm blew through yesterday, knocked out the power for several hours, so we had to push some games back, and thus we get the morning wake-up call for Arch Rival and the Axles of Annihilation. Next up, Bricktator jamming against Little Regulator. Little Regulator number 10, Axles of Annihilation in black, or in white rather. Arch Rival in black, and Bricktator through first to grab lead jammer. Little Regulator dances up the sideline, just bumped out of bounds. Excellent defense by number 810, Kawoo, or Kwoo, I suppose. 4 points out for Bricktator. Little Regulator is up and back through. And jam is called. Another scoreless run for the Axles, taking us to 8-0. We'd like to thank Holler. Next time you're in Portland, visit Holler, your new favorite sports bar and treat shop. And next up on the Jam Line, by the way, brought to you by Jam on Hawthorne, Portland's best vegan-friendly, booze-friendly, kid-friendly, omnivore-friendly, everybody-friendly breakfast. We've got Hart jamming against Evangelical. And Hart, clean line on the inside through for lead jammer. 3 straight leads coming to Arch Rival. Evangelical made it around turn 2, but stopped again. Now has the star in hand. Pivot is in the penalty box. One blocker for each team in the box currently as Hart slides through quickly, picking up 4 points. Evangelical forced out of bounds, recycles well to the back. Now finds a lane on the inside and clears, completes the initial pass. Hart, bump to the inside, jumps back out, grabs the 4, calls off the jam. First 2-pass jam of the game. Gives 8 points to arch rival, takes them to a total of 16. And the Axles held scoreless again. Axles of Annihilation played yesterday, losing to Denver's Mile High Club in our first game of the day. Next up is Stomps jamming for Rose City's Axles of Annihilation, Jedi Nightingale with the star for arch rival. Relief coming in is number 22 Habanero Romero, the pivot for the Axles out of the penalty box. Then Stomps grabs first lead for the Axles as Jedi Nightingale finally clears the pack. Stomps did get bumped out and has relinquished position. But Jedi Nightingale out of the pack, pops through quickly. Stomps continuing to be forced through. Oh, Jedi Nightingale, nice duck around the outside, does get all 4. Stomps only picking up 2, so an 8-2 win for arch rival, takes arch rival to 24. But the Axles on the board now with 2 points. We'd like to thank Rogue Ales and Spirits, award-winning Oregon-made craft brews and spirits available in all 50 states. Find your brew at rogue.com. Next up, Swanson jamming against Angela Death. Swanson pushing hard to the front. Angela Death forced out and had to recycle back a bit as Swanson finally clears, grabs lead. Angela Death looking left, looking right, finding room in the middle, gets a nice clearing block, and finally clears the pack. As Swanson backing up to play a little jammer defense, and then says, nah, just going to call it off. So no points for either team, our first scoreless jam of the game, leaving us at 24-2 with 24 and a half minutes to go in the first period. If you happen to know a business that would benefit by promoting at Derby events and or to Rose City Rollers members, email sponsorship at rosecityrollers.com. Next up, we got Bricktator jamming against Trinity. Trinity looking left to right, nothing doing. Bricktator starting on the inside edge, now bouncing back out to the out, and does make it clear. Bricktator lead jammer. Arch Rivals now had lead 5 of 6 jams in this game. Bricktator cutting down and met by hips at the outside edge. Excellent job by closing the door there by number 39, Gaffney. As all pack now globbed together at the exit of turn 2. Trinity forced out of bounds and rolled back by 1900 Cloak and Drag her. Who was cloaking and dragging her all the way back now to the pivot line is both jammers rolling backwards. Bricktator also taking a moment, a pause, accelerating through, and a star pass by the Axles Brute now, number 48 with the star. Completes the initial pass, and Bricktator calls off the jam before Brute can reach the pack. A 4-0 run for arch rival, taking them to 28. 28-2, our score now as we're just under 23 minutes to go in the period. Jammers resetting, little regulate her, set to jam for the Axles of Annihilation. Hart back on the line for arch rival. Arch rival 1 blocker shy in the pack as they have a blocker sitting in the penalty box, and little regulator sliding through on the inside edge. Grabs lead jammer. Second lead of the game for the Axles. Hart also working the way out the front. completes the initial. Little regulator checking with the bench. Here's the cry to call it off, and does so. Hart, no points. Second time that Arch has been held scoreless in this game. And Little Regulator picks up 1. I'd like to thank Wild CBD, sparkling waters, and edible delights that enhance every moment. Wild sponsoring our penalty box. And there is 1 blocker for the Axles of Annihilation sitting in the penalty box, and I believe we're getting a score adjustment. 2 points on that last run. Since the jam closed out, the scoreboard only showing 1 for this jam, but it gets the total right. Total is 4. And we've got 28 currently for Arch Rival. While they're officiating, let me mention who our officials are for this game. We've got Montana Mauler, Locomotive, Queen of Catitude, Andy Oakley, Tenacious D Cup, Rex Blocker, Read the Rules, Doof Warrior, Mother Flippin' Artist, Reverend Riot, Toxic Narcotic, Dilly Gaff, Scary Beat Jesus, Doesn't Matter, Johnny Demonic, and S-No. Thank you to all our officials this weekend, doing the difficult work of tracking the numbers and pointing at people and blowing whistles. Now, streaming broadcasts of Rose City's 2022 games are brought to you by S1 Helmet Company, USA's leader in protective gear and maker of the S1 Lifer Visor helmet. For next level protection, check out S1 helmets. And I'd also like to mention, if you're supporting a Rose City sponsor, help us out. Post on the social media and tag hashtag RCR sponsor. You'll be entered to win a pair of VIP tickets to one of our games. And who doesn't want VIP tickets? So coming up next on this track at noon Pacific time, we will have the Wheels of Justice, Rose City's A-team, playing the Montreal New Skids on the block. New Skids lost yesterday in our closeout game against the European All-Stars. This game, Game 3, was originally supposed to be last night at 8 o'clock, happening this morning. Arch rival versus the Axles of Annihilation, as I mentioned, lost to Denver in our kickoff game yesterday evening. Denver will move on, and they will play in the semifinal match. They play at 6 p.m. today, and they will play the winner of this very game right here. All right, scoreboard has been adjusted to show the 4, but no points in this jam. Officials continuing to chat. And there is our swoopy, swoopy whistle, meaning we're ready to go again. Five seconds called out. Again, one skater for the Axles in the penalty box. We've got Jedi Nightingale jamming for Arch Rival and grabbing lead jammer as well. Your jammer for the Axles of Annihilation, Evangelical, number 316, was caught up and using the force to hop the corner. Lovely apex point jump to grab 4 points by Jedi Nightingale, as Evangelical forced to roll back, and that opens things wide up for Jedi Nightingale to slide through, duck under a hip, and grab 4 more points. 8 total on the jam, and nothing slowing down. Well, I was just as I say, nothing slowing down. Jedi Nightingale takes a hip check, falls to the track. Arch Rival now losing a blocker, number 1900, Cloak and Drag Her, heading to that Wild CBD penalty box. Brute standing in the box about to come back. We are 3-on-3 in the pack currently as Brute is released, but Jedi Nightingale out 4 more points. Tries the apex jump, nothing doing, lands the foot out of bounds, has to roll back behind the pack. Brute also now rolling through Evangelical, star in hand, finally clears the back forearm penalty called somewhere. Don't see a skater leaving the track, so perhaps that was just an indication to the penalty box of what a prior penalty had been. Officials beginning to confer. 13-point run for Jedi Nightingale takes arch rival to 41. No points up for Evangelical, so the Axles stay at 4. Next up on the Jam line, brought to you by Jam on Hawthorne, we've got number 911 Pork Chop Slamwich jamming against Stomps. Stomps pushing to the inside and dancing up the line for a lead jammer. Meanwhile, Pork Chop Slamwich pushing to the front, but good defense at the front of the pack. 3 blockers from the Axles in the way. As Habanero Romero rolls back to bridge, joined by Gaffney. At the front, we've got MC Slammer, and I can't catch the number on the blocker that's holding things up. That's 360 Big Bang Fury, just dragging the entire way back as Pork Chop Slamwich dumped out of bounds and now has to roll back to the top of turn 2. Stomps with 4 points on the board, working on the second pass, and this time caught by the tripod from arch rival. As Pork Chop Slamwich still trapped, getting a little offensive assistance, but again, Big Bang Fury playing the front line of defense, or last line of defense rather, joined by Habanero Romero. Habanero dropping back to bridge. Gaffney and Habanero on the bridge. We've got MC Slammer in the penalty box for Rose, and forearm penalty called, finally freeing Pork Chop Slamwich. Stomps, calls off the jam, did get 3 of the 4 on that second pass before arch rival's defense locked down. That will take the Axles to 11. Arch rival held at 41. 18 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the first period. Swanson set to jam for arch rival. And number 19, Angela Death with the star for the Axles. Swanson cutting to the inside now, up front, but trapped by Alter Eagle, joined by Brute. And Ripley acting as the tripod and kickstand and pushing everybody out of bounds. That forces Swanson to back up. Angela Death trying to get through the middle. Alter Eagle offering a little bit of offense, but now heading to the penalty box. So that takes the pivot off the board for Rose City. And Swanson finally clears 40 seconds into the jam. Angela Death trapped up. Swanson sliding around, runs right into Big Bang Fury. Now able to get around the inside to grab 4 points. Angela Death again trying, forced out of bounds by Cloak and Dragger and rolled well back almost to the jammer line. Don't think Angela Death has yet to make it out of the first turn. And again, bumped out, pulling back. Swanson clears with 4. Swanson again on a third as Alter Eagle now back into the game. Angela Death pulls off the jammer star. Looking for the handoff. There is the handoff to Alter Eagle. Alter Eagle now forcing through. Completes the initial pass. And Swanson says, I'm not going to allow that to happen. Calls off the jam. Picked up 3 more, 11 total on the jam for arch rival. That takes them to 52. Rose City, Axles of Annihilation, 11. We'd like to thank Two Towns Cider, damn fine cider made right here in the Pacific Northwest. Grab a bright cider soon. can attest that is a delightful cider. Bricktator jamming against Trinity. Bricktator caught up on the outside, now caught at the front as the axles locking down. Habanero Romero sent to the penalty box. Bricktator cutting left, forced to the in, and finally clear, grabs lead jammer. Trinity getting some offensive assistance now that Bricktator is clear, but again, the axles have to give up and pull back to defense, which lets Bricktator give a shove, followed by another shove and dip around. 4 points. Trinity locked down by the arch rival defense as they waterfall around and around and doing a great job of absorbing the offense attempts from the axles. Axles again coming in, looking to do some offense, but not able to get anything going. Bricktator, meanwhile, completes the second scoring pass and is now on a third. Habanero Romero back on the track, so pivot is in play for the Axles of Annihilation. Trinity, however, kept well away from that pivot. And number 15 bolt action for arch rival, continuing to shove for a moment there, was shoving Habanero Romero away. As Bricktator rolling in on the fourth scoring pass. That's four passes, 16 total points. Trinity still now halfway around the back stretch, but still working on that initial pass. Bricktator dances the outside line, grabs 4 points, checks with the bench. Bench is like, nah, you can just keep going. Trinity had recycled back, finally finds room on the inside, and Bricktator hops the line, lands in bounds, bounces off, collects one more point for a 21-point jam, largest of the game so far, and that takes arch rival to 73 as the Axles of Annihilation held at 11, and timeout called by Rose City. This timeout brought to you by Welcome to PDX and Deb Counts Tabor, the official realtor of the Rose City Rollers. So looking at very unofficial jammer stats, arch rival with lead jam 8 out of the 11 jams, 3 of those going to the Axles. Axles have 2 for number 617 Stomps, the other lead grabbed by Lil Regulator. But arch rival defense, very tight this game. Again, holding only 3 jams with points scored for the Axles, 2, 2, and then 7. Stomps picking up a 2-pass run a couple of jams ago. Lil Regulator back out on the jam line for the Axles of Annihilation. Matched up this time with Hart, number 89. They were paired the last time Lil Regulator jammed, and Lil Regulator came out on top that time. This time, Hart forced out of bounds. Both jammers forced out of bounds and have to roll back up the infield. Hart pushing towards the middle, dances around, keeps the feet in bounds, grabs lead jammer. Lil Regulator looking to the outside, able to hold the edge right on the line, but arch rival pushing forward. Recycling up as Hart forced out of bounds and rolled back as well. And again, great side-to-side control by the Axles, as Sasson was kind of owning Hart for a bit there. And Hart gets around Brute, but Sasson right there with the tap out. And rolling back is Gaffney. Hart is on a scoring pass. Lil Regulator still on the initial. Brute rolls up to provide some offense. Lil Regulator double pirouette to finally clear the pack. And Hart says, you know, I've been fighting this long enough. I think I'm going to call off the jam. Hart collecting 3, so one of the Axles able to stay ahead just long enough. And that will take us to 76-11. 12 and a half minutes to go in the first period of our first game of 4 today. as the second day of the hometown throwdown takes place, coming to you from the hangar at Oaks Park in lovely Portland, Oregon. Lovely, wet and windy Portland, Oregon, at least yesterday. Today, just wet, not as much wind. So hopefully the power will stay on. We won't have any more problems. Jedi Nightingale jamming against Evangelical. And Jedi Nightingale pushing to the front, 2 to beat, gets around MC Slam her to grab a lead jammer. Evangelical trapped at the back, passing the star forward, and yes, it is complete star pass to number 50, Alter Eagle. And Jedi Nightingale says, that's fine, I'll take my 4 points and go back to the bench. Not allowing the Eagle to land any. I'd like to thank Sizzle Pie, Rose City Rollers' official pizza partner, Death to False Pizza. If you're in Portland, Sizzle Pie, delightful. Might find one of those later today, we'll see. Stomps jamming against Swanson. Everybody piled up just between the jammer line and the pivot line. And Stomps forced out of bounds. Penalty sending Brute to the Wild CBD penalty box, and Swanson clears his lead as Stomps just forced out and locked up at this point as Swanson dances through and grabs 4 points. Swanson now ducking in, cutting around the outside, met by HR, and a little bit of offense bumping through. Only 2 blockers on the track at the moment for the Axles of Annihilation, although Brute coming back into the pack right now out of the penalty box, so that will shore things up. But they are still 1 short as Arch Rival fully staffed on the track and just holding solidly onto Stomps as Swanson moves forward. Forearm called on Swagatha, so that will thin the Axles down again, although they are getting relief out of the penalty box. As, beautiful cut through the middle of the pack by Swanson. As HR returns to the pack now, they're shedding yet another blocker. So back to 2 blockers on the track for Rose City. And Swanson says, I will jump the apex even though I don't need to. Lane was open, but I think she'd already started making the move. Swanson with a leap adds a 5th pass, 20 points, second highest scoring jam of the game. That takes Arch Rival to an even 100, and the Axles held at 11. We've got 9 minutes, 20 seconds to go in this period. Number 48, Bricktator, ready to jam for Arch Rival. And Trinity, number 343, is jamming for Rose City. Now with only 3 blockers on the track, Bricktator quickly through the pack to grab lead. Now ducking around, gets past Habanero Romero, Big Bang Fury there to meet, but not able to stop as Bricktator had the momentum and the jukiness to get around. That was Big Bang Fury using Swagatha as a blunt instrument to knock Bricktator out to the infield. And now finally your Axles of Annihilation back to full strength as 426 Ripley rolling in and knocking everybody down. Star pass. No, not star pass. Sorry, I saw the way the star was on. I forgot she had it in her hand and put it back on. Trinity able to exit the pack. Forces the call off, a 7-point jam, taking us to 107 to 11. 8 minutes to go in the first period. As Lil Regulate her back out, jamming again against number 89 Hart. They are split on leads at this point in their face head-to-head matchups. Lil Regulator towards the front. 2 blockers to beat. Hart trapped at the back of the pack as the pack's spreading out and thinning out. Lil Regulator in the battle and wins this time, grabbing lead jammer, able to stretch that Arch Rival pack out far enough that no one was quite able. Now Hart has the star off, is reaching, looking, trying to find a pivot. But hey, pivot did not grab. But called for a high block. First jammer penalty of the game, first power jam going to Little Regulate Her and the Axles of Annihilation. And Regs will call off the jam. Bench saying, let's just take the power start in. You got the 3 points. That takes Rose City Axles of Annihilation to 14. Arch rival scoreless on the jam, as Hart did not complete the initial before picking up that penalty. So 107 to 14, 6:45 to go. And Evangelical will take the star on the power start. Both packs full strength. And lined up at the pivot line as Arch rival looking maybe to start sprinting. Axel's trying to do a sweep, but Arch rival staying ahead. Now moving into more of a scrum random, let's just knock everybody around pack. As Evangelical looking to the outside, has room and is able to clear. Big Bang Fury holding the front line and not allowing anyone to chase up to the front. Hart out of the penalty box. Evangelical on a scoring pass. Hart now trapped at the back by the tripod, pushing into the wedge, trying to get anything. It's just it's leg day for everyone, as Evangelical also on the sled at the front. Hart trying the inside edge, forced out of bounds, rolls back a little bit, halfway right in front of the penalty box. Evangelical pushing the pack towards the front. Big Bang Fury trying to help out on some offense, but now having to step back to bridge as Evangelical rather, forced to the infield. And all that work for naught. Rolls back to the anti-jam line. My choice. It's on the other side of the track. Hart finally clears. Evangelical right in front of her bench. No trouble hearing the, hey, why don't you call off this jam? Picks up 3. Second straight jam that Rose City has scored, and second straight jam they've had 3. Takes us to 107 to 17, a 97-point lead with 5 minutes to go in this first period. 6:17 stomps, getting ready to jam for the Axles of Annihilation, number 4, Jedi Nightingale, ready to jam for Arch rival, both on the jam line. Brought to you by Jam on Hawthorne, Portland's best vegan-friendly, booze-friendly, kid-friendly, omnivore-friendly, everybody-friendly breakfast. Could use some friendly breakfast this morning before this this bout, as it is, well, now I don't know, 10:30 in the morning, 10:15 in the morning. One of those, not looking at the watch. Stops forced out of bounds. Jedi Nightingale through at the front, picking up lead jammer. And Jedi Nightingale, almost clear, but that's going to be an illegal contact penalty on number 8, Sasson, because stepping out of bounds to hit someone who's in the air, apparently not something you can do. What is with these rules anyway? All right, so Jedi Nightingale back engaged, did force the recycle and stopped the apex jump, so keeping some points off the board, but landing a blocker in the penalty box. 3 on 4 in the pack. Arch rival with the advantage, and Arch rival happy to just play defense and lock down stomps. Jedi Nightingale recycled back twice now. Stomps also forced in and rolls back. Splatter on the run back, now playing I'm just going to be Stomp's best friend on this pass through the pack. Finally, Jedi Nightingale, yes, able to keep the feet in bounds and collect 4 points. Minute 20 seconds into the jam before the points finally go on the board, and Stomps not out as a forearm is called. Power jam going to Arch rival, as we're down to the 3-minute mark in the period roughly. And Jedi Nightingale sees the call from the bench to call it off. Does so, locking Stomps in the penalty box for one more jam, as we will tick down under 3 minutes. No timeout called yet. Teams preparing to line up. Number 68, Swanson, out to jam for Arch rival on the power start. Both teams even in the pack, and everybody just crowded up to the jam line. Swanson looking to the outside, met by Alter Eagle as they cut back to the middle. Trying, and all of Arch Rival now moving forward on offense, but not quite able to hold up. 6'18" Cruella heads to the penalty box, but Swanson finally clears the pack, as Stomps is now out of the penalty box and re-engaged. Alter Eagle also sent to the penalty box, so one blocker from each team in the box, leaving us 2 tripods on the track, 2 jammers pushing. Stomps on the initial, Swanson on the scoring pass. Swanson, as players break off, is knocked to the ground, forced slightly out of bounds, but no recycle needed, and penalty sending Big Bang Fury to the box. That thins us down to 2 blockers momentarily, as Alter Eagle now back, comes right inbounds, takes the handoff of the star from Stomps, clears the pack very quickly. Move we saw repeatedly yesterday in the game against Denver. Jam called off. We'll see what points come in at the end of second 4. So Swanson adding 8. That takes Arch Rival to 122. Axles of Annihilation held to 17, or held to no points, and sitting at 17. Next up, Pork Chop Slamwich on the jam line for Arch Rival. And number 19, Angela Death, with the star for the Axles of Annihilation. Angela Death trapped up immediately. Pork Chop Slamwich finding room on the outside, grabs lead jammer. Angela Death also looking like to go out, but was actually just knocked into the infield and was trying to slow down before cutting all the way through the center of the track. Pork Chop Slamwich bouncing left and right, getting an offensive assist from K-Woo, but not able to quite complete. Angela Death exits the pack. And Pork Chop Slamwich calls off the jam. We're down to 20 seconds left in the half. 2 points up for Pork Chop Slamwich. 124 to 17. We will tick down the clock, see if anyone bothers to call a timeout. Not seeing any move from either coach. Coaches kind of looking at each other like, hey, do we want to call a timeout? And the answer is no. No, they do not. So at intermission, we sit Arch Rival dominating the game, 124. Rose City's Axles of Annihilation at 17. We will take a 10-ish minute break, 9 minutes and 45 by the clock right now, and be back with the second half.
All it takes is you and I. Love's equation, our design. Is it gravity, your heart and mine? All I know is the stars have aligned. I could count the ways you lit up my life, but I wouldn't try. Your science I can't describe. Love unexplainably taking flight like a satellite. Ask me anything you'd like. I could answer every why. Oh, you wake me up like the morning light. Even darkness can't dim your bright eyes. You're the rising sun, the kindest sign that we'll be alright. Your science I can't describe. Love unexplainably taking flight like a satellite. This night, brilliantly simplified. I look at you and my heart takes flight. can't describe. Love unexplainably taking flight like a satellite. This night, brilliantly simplified. I look at you and my heart takes flight like a satellite. Oh, always satellite. Yeah, I look at you and my heart takes flight like a satellite.
All right, we are back for the second half. Arch Rival versus Rose City's Axles of Annihilation, game number 3 of the hometown throwdown. Arch Rival leading 124-17 after the first period. Looking at some brief jammer stats, Arch Rival had lead 15 out of 20 jams, giving the other 5 to the Axles. We had no jams with no lead jammer, so that was nice. 1 jammer penalty for each team, and on the star passes, Arch Rival has not passed the star yet. The Axle has passed it 3 times, twice to Alter Eagle, once to Brute. And here we sit. Coming up next after this half, we'll take a little break, and then at noon Pacific time, we will feature the Wheels of Justice from Rose City against Montreal. Montreal losing yesterday against the European All-Stars team. But now right away for half number 2, Swanson, number 68, jamming for Arch Rival up against number 343, Trinity for the Axles of Annihilation. Habanero Romero providing a little offense, or trying to, but Arch Rival again holding solid on the defense as Swanson able to push the pack forward enough to grab lead. And now on the scoring pass as the star pass complete, Trinity handing off to Alter Eagle. And Eagle held up slightly. Oh, and the Alter Eagle picking up a forearm penalty. So we will have a power jam now for Swanson. I think Swanson was all fully prepared to call off the jam after that handoff once Alter Eagle cleared the pack. Like, okay, we'll call it off, but then the penalty changes everything. Now Swanson through for a second 4-point run. Now 8 points on the jam. Swanson dancing up the outside line. 1 skater to beat, dips past MC Slamher and grabs a third 4 run. Alter Eagle now standing in the penalty box, as Swanson clearly not wanting to freeze Alter Eagle in the penalty box and give a power start, because that's a jammer you don't want to face if you don't have to. Alter Eagle forcing through the pack, completes the initial pass. Swanson looking to complete their final scoring, does get through, adding 4 more. So a 16-0 jam to start our second period, taking Arch Rival to 140. Axles held to 17. Next up on our jam line brought to you by Jam on Hawthorne. We've got number 48, Bricktator, jamming against number 10, Little Regulator. Little Regulator jamming for Rose City's Axles of Annihilation. Axles in white. Bricktator and Arch Rival in black. Bricktator through first, lead jammer. Little Regulator bumped to the infield, but not no run back ensued, so no need to chase everyone backwards. As the pack's glomming together at the top of turn 1. Bricktator keeping the feet in bounds, spinning on one leg to absorb the hit, grabs the 4 points and breaks free. Little Regulator finally clears, half a lap behind Bricktator. As a whistle thinning out the pack, that's number 718, Lux Furious, heading to the penalty box for Arch Rival. Bricktator swings in, calls off the jam. Only 1 point on the pass, but still a 5-0 run. Bumps us up to 145-17. Once again, I'd like to mention that streaming broadcasts of Rose City's 2022 games brought to you by the S1 Helmet Company. Best fit plus best protection equals the S1 Lifer helmet. Get a Lifer, be a Lifer. Thank you, S1, for sponsoring these broadcasts. Happy to be with you here on Facebook this morning from the hangar at Oaks Park in Portland, Oregon, where Hart and Evangelical exit the pack almost simultaneously, but Hart just a step ahead. Evangelical now giving chase and jumping to the front. Hart says, I'm just going to call it off. We'll let Evangelical have their run at the pack, but no points allowed. First scoreless jam of the half. And looking back to the last half, I think this is our first scoreless jam of the game where neither team picked up any points. Unless I missed something, which is always possible. Rolling in next, we will have number 4, Jedi Nightingale. Jamming against number 617, Stomps. Stomps for the Axles. Jedi Nightingale for arch rival. Jedi Nightingale forced out of bounds. Rolls back. Brute there at the back of the pack, holding. Brute cutting to the front, and Jedi Nightingale gets around Alter Eagle. And Alter Eagle says, well, that's fine. I'm just going to go back and get the star. Second star pass of the half, both going to Alter Eagle. Jedi Nightingale again force levitates over the corner, grabs 4 points. Alter Eagle clears and dons the star. Jedi Nightingale bumps off the pack, rolls to the outside, calls off the jam. 1 more point. So another 5-point jam, taking the arch rival score up to 150. And for the 4th straight jam in the half, Rose City held scoreless. I'd like to thank Sasquatch HR, making nonprofit and small business workplaces better at sasquatchr.org. And now we've got Swanson jamming against Angela Death. Angela Death looking to the outside, almost forced out, but not quite. Swanson trapped at the back and just plugging away, pushing against a now thinned out pack as number 22 Habanero Romero heads to the penalty box. But lead jammer, first lead of the period, going to Angela Death. As Rosemary's Baby holding up the front. MC Slammer now rolling forward to provide some extra last line of defense against Swanson. Angela Death looking to the outside, bumped to the outside. Swanson finally clears the pack, is now on a scoring pass, but Angela Death says, no points for you. And that will be a 2-0 run for Rose City. That takes the Axles to 19. And arch rival held to 150. I'd like to give a shout out and thanks to the following sponsors: Shebop, Die My Darling Hair Salon, and Porque No Taqueria. Rolling into jam number 6, Bricktator jamming against Trinity. Everybody just sort of trapped. Bricktator finally pushing much of the pack forward past the jammer line, or the pivot line, and Bricktator finally hips around to grab lead. Trinity, star in hand, looking to the outside, not reaching for Habanero Romero, the pivot, and good thing, because Habanero Romero off to the penalty box. That thins us down to 3-on-4 for the Axles. Advantage to arch rival, and Bricktator is through. Grabs the first 4 points of the jam. Trinity once again bumped out. Rollback coming from Splatter all the way back as Bricktator making a little hop and grabbing 4 points. Pack now congealed at the pivot line. Brute took the star, but not the pivot. So that is going to be a penalty somewhere. Or perhaps not. Maybe that I have not refreshed on the rule of the star pass to someone who's not allowed to grab it. In any case, we have pivot locked in the penalty box. And we have an official timeout as the officials are discussing. I do see a little regulator coming out to jam up against number 89 Hart. We'll see how that rolls. Again, this timeout brought to you by Welcome to PDX and Deb Counts Tabor, the official realtor of the Rose City Rollers. And while the officials discuss, I would like to thank Rebel Heart Therapy, individual and relational therapy for Portland's black sheep and unicorns. If you're in need of the therapy, check out Rebel Heart Therapy. Also want to thank the United Athletic Club. United Athletic Club is where fitness happens in Southeast Portland. Many classes taught by Rose City Rollers skaters. So if you've wanted to get schooled and exercised by a Rose City skater, that's the place to head. All right, referee is conversing with the Rose City bench.
Rose City jammer attempted an illegal star pass that was successful, with the impact being that the jam was called off by the opposing team. White jammer will be penalized for that illegal star pass.
Well,
So there you go. Number 343 Trinity will sit in the penalty box to start off this jam, as the illegal pass did again, was perceived to have forced the call off, so there was an in-game consequence of it. So power start now for Hart. And arch rival, 4-on-3 advantage in the pack, turning to offense. Hart, beautiful line jump. Just right up the inside, keeps the feet in, grabs the lead very quickly. Habanero Romero pivot now out of the penalty box. And so Axles are back to full strength. Hart able to just run past Big Bang Fury to grab 4 points. Hart now dipping to the inside. Again, tries that jump. Was it legal? Was it not? It was not. That is a cut track. Hart was looking to the ref like, will you let me know if I was out of bounds? Chose to continue on rather than coming in. So we have a power jam now for Trinity. Lead was gained and now lost, so we have our first 2-minute jam of the game. Minute 7 left on the clock, and Trinity is trapped up by the arch rival defense. Rose City turning to some offense, but now preparing to receive Hart, as Hart is standing in the penalty box. Rosemary's Baby and number 39 Gaffney moving forward on defense now, coming back as Trinity forced out again. And number 15 Bolt Action for arch rival was back at the back, jumping up and down like, wait, I'm behind them. Clearly didn't matter, but Trinity did have to roll back on a second knockout. Hart out of the box, through the pack now, 4 more points. That's 8 total. We got 25 seconds left in this jam. And a big shoulder coming from Shira Powers to knock Trinity to the infield and then run back to the pivot line as Hart completing the 3rd scoring pass. This time Hart forced to the ground and pushed out again, and the star pass finally complete. Habanero Romero exits the pack with the star just as time runs out. So again, no points for the Axles. Discussion over the points with the jam ref, and others. 3 more coming up for arch rival. A 15-point jam, taking us to 177 to 19. Want to thank Black Cat Plumbing, Portland's neighborhood plumbing company and proud sponsor of Rose City Rollers since forever. Little Regulator would like to thank her jam ref for pointing at her and saying, "You are lead jammer." Lead jam for Little Regulator, Jedi Nightingale jamming for arch rival. And Jedi Nightingale heading to the penalty box for a back block. So power jam for Regs and the Axles of Annihilation. Little Regulator trying to get around. Splatter does so. Now the rest of the pack, Alter Eagle providing a little forward momentum, but Reg's able to pull through. The no impact, no penalty. Oh, but a cut track being called by the far ref. Doesn't matter, says no. Someone else was on the run back there as well, and so Regs will head to the penalty box. Once again, lead jam lost a second 2-minute jam for this period, as Jedi Nightingale now out of the box, back engaged. Jedi Nightingale, I believe, still on the initial pass, forced out. Brute with the roll back. And Alter Eagle looking to run forward. I saw an indication of a cut track, but I don't see who it was to. So Jedi Nightingale is now clear. Completes the initial. Little Regulator out of the penalty box, is on a scoring pass. Regs with 3 on the first pass. Trying to jump on the inside corner. Now sees the rollback from Splatter. Cuts back to the middle of turn 1. Jedi Nightingale pushing and pushing. Brute playing offense / bridge, now trying to break free. Little regulator, and finally does so. As Jedi Nightingale pushed back. Jam comes to a close. And we see four for the Axles, 3 for Arch Rival. So the early 3 must have been wiped by the penalty, although we're now having an official timeout, perhaps to clarify what the points are. We did have a little adjustment. It's now looking like 2-4, so 179-23. Want to thank Trailhead Credit Union. Get financial guidance for whatever trail you choose at Trailhead Credit Union. And we also want to thank Secret Aardvark, the local-made flavor that kicks you in the mouth. That is, I mean, it's a secret, but then they kick you in the mouth, which makes it much less of a secret, I would argue. Also like to say, if you are looking for some Rose City swag and you want to rep your favorite league, check out the online store at shop.rosecityrollers.com for your midnight roller derby purchasing needs. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and go, you know, I could really use a Rose City sweatshirt, and they can help you out. 24/7 access. All right, back to 3 points now for Arch Rival in that last jam, not the 2 that they had given, so 180-23. Pork chop slamwich jamming against Evangelical. And pork chop slamwich number 911 out first, lead jammer Arch Rival. Evangelical trying to get through the scrum of a pack, but Arch Rival, great work waterfalling to the front, almost had the triple doink to knock him out, but not quite. So Evangelical is clear. Pork chop slamwich calls off the jam. No points for Rose, 1 point for Arch Rival. Oh, make that. There's the 1 point. Five seconds call. Swanson set to jam for Arch Rival. 6:17 stomps with the star for the Axles of Annihilation. Swanson, again, leg day at the Rose City at the hangar, pushes forward everybody and grabs lead jammer. Stomps, meanwhile, trapped at the back. Thinning of the pack for Arch Rival as Vicious Van Gogh heads to the Wild CBD penalty box. And Swanson sneaking through on the inside as Arch Rival able to push people to the outside. Stomp still caught up as the pivot number 37, Swagatha, back into the game. Had been in the penalty box. Swagatha now moving to the front. Stomp's trapped. Stomps has the star off. Looking to hand, a little fakey, pulls it back. And Stomps rolled out of bounds and rolled back. Direction of play, sending Brute to the penalty box. And 4 more up for Swanson. Swanson now sitting on 8 as we're a minute into the jam. 14:45 to go in the game, and Swanson just enough room on the inside edge to get through and get all 4 points. Stomps continuing to just be stymied at the back of the pack as 37 Swagatha serving as the kickstand on the tripod. Tripod broken up a bit and quickly by Splatter, then also knocking Stomps out and rolling back. 4 more up for Swanson. And finally, the star pass completed. Swagatha now with the star in hand, and a penalty called forearm for someone in the pack as Swanson skates backwards. It was calling for her team to skate faster with her to try and stretch some more time, but stretches enough, calls off the jam. A 20-point run, 20-0, taking Arch Rival to 201. Axles held to 23. And we're down to 13 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the game. Would like to thank the following sponsors, PDX Pipeline, the Portland Mercury, and Portland Vital Signs. Jam 11 of the second period of this game. Bricktator jamming against Angela Death. Angela Death trapped at the back. Bricktator trapped at the front. Everybody's trapped. But Vicious Van Gogo coming out of the penalty box trying to break things up at the front. And Bricktator now with 2 to beat. MC Slammer, the last line of defense, and Bricktator is clear. It was a great slide through by Vicious to just knock things out of the way. Alter Eagle, throws the hip, but not quite able. Bricktator keeping the center of gravity low and holding on to keep the wheels in bounds. As Alter Eagle took the brunt of that impact and went around the outside. This time, Big Bang Fury says, "You will not pass." And a cut track assessed on Angela Death, so power jam now for Bricktator and arch rival as Bricktator is through for the second scoring pass, and Bricktator says, "I am going to lock that jammer in, call off the jam, hand a power start off, and we will have a team timeout called by Rose City's Axles of Annihilation." As we look at the score sheet, arch rival has had lead jammer in all but 2 of the 11 jams, so if I do my math correct, that would be 9. 9 leads for arch rival, 2 for Rose City. And Rose City also with a slight advantage in jammer penalties. Arch has had 2 jammer penalties this half. Rose City has had 3, although one of those technically you could call a pivot penalty, but the pivot was the jammer at the time. Therefore, I will continue to classify that as a jammer penalty. I'm sure you care deeply how Scott Chicken is classifying penalties. Want to thank Killer Burger. Killer Burger, you are 5 minutes, if you're here in the hangar at Oaks Park. In which case, why are you listening to the stream when you could listen to the King on the house broadcast? If you're here, you are 5 minutes to burger, beers, and bottomless fries. From wherever you are, please use your associated mapping app to figure out how many minutes you are away from a Killer Burger, because that is delicious. Also want to thank the Laurel Horse Theater and Pub, bringing the best of classic and modern cinema to Portland. Thank you, Laurelhurst Theaters and Pub, for sponsoring Rose City. All right, Hart with the start. The power start, no less, as Angela Death sitting in the penalty box. And Hart, after a brief recycle, is able to find room on the outside to grab lead jammer. Down under 12 minutes to go in the game. Hart dodging to the outside. Met by a pair of blockers from Rose City, now looking again to the out. But bumped out by Ripley. Ripley picking up a penalty on the play. Angela Death back in and knocks everybody down, Hart included. Splatter trying to break up that tripod at the front, not quite able to, but Hart is able to escape and grab 4 points as Angela Death rolled back. Splatter again playing Jammer's worst nightmare. Hart somehow keeping the feet in bounds. I didn't lean forward far enough up here in the mezzanine. I missed part of that line. So from where I was sitting, I was like, oh, that's out of bounds, but clearly not. Hart grabs the second 4, 8 total. Now 2:17 to 23 as we're down to 11 minutes to go in the game. Winner of this game will move on to our semifinal this evening at, sorry, I'm just trying to check the schedule. That will be at 6 p.m. Winner will face Denver. Loser slips into the loser bracket. They will play tomorrow morning for the 5th place game. Jedi Nightingale jamming against Gaffney. This is Gaffney's first jam of the game, and Gaffney quickly passes the star off to number 39. Wait, Gaffney is, see, now I had it backwards. It was Trinity that started the star and handed it to Gaffney. This is what I get for looking at the wrong shirt. I was looking at the stripe the whole time. And Jedi Nightingale clears the pack. I think that in the scoreboard they had the jammer and the pivot mistaken, because I was saying Gaffney when it was Trinity that was the jammer and Gaffney was the pivot. Now Gaffney is, in fact, and we've revised the scoreboard accordingly. Jedi Nightingale second pass through. another 4, so that's 8 total. As Gaffney, holding the star, is asking for a little assistance from Big Bang Fury to break that pack up. But nothing doing. Gaffney forced out and rolls back. Jedi Nightingale uses some form of mind trick to work through the pack. Third pass for Jedi Nightingale. 12 total on the jam. Now moving in for a 4th scoring pass as Gaffney held up. And again, Big Bang Fury just trying. Anything they're trying to do is not moving the arch rival defense, or at least it's not pushing them into a position where anyone can get through. Arch rival great at absorbing the offense and kind of blobbing to the front and reforming. Jedi Nightingale now on the 5th scoring pass, sitting on 16 points and forced out of bounds and chooses to call off the jam, but burning a chunk of clock as we're down to 8:43. Did get all 4 points on that pass despite being knocked out again. So a 20-point jam, 237-23. So arch rival now leading by a factor of 10.
Oh, jeez. Some things are still attached to me that I was not prepared for.
Next up, Swanson jamming against Lil Regulate Her. Lil Regulate Her started on the outside, almost took a braid whip off of Brute, but let go of the hair just in time. Swanson trapped at the back, and Lil Regulate Her is clear and is lead jammer. Lil Regulator now with lead jammer twice in 3 jams this half. Swanson pushes through as well and giving chase. Arch rival speeding up the pack. We've got a little fast derby going. Alter Eagle trying to break things up. As Little Regulator working to get the hips in front. Does get in front of at least one. Calls it off. Picks up 3 points. And more importantly, holds arch rival scoreless. So we're 237-26 now. Down to 7.5 to go in the game. Once again, winner playing Denver tonight at 6 p.m. and the loser moves on to the 5th place game tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. That will be against the loser of our upcoming game. Next game on this track at noon Pacific time, Wheels of Justice from Rose City against the new Skids on the Block from Montreal. Number 48, Bricktator, spins through on one leg to grab lead jammer. 316 Evangelical jamming for the Rose City Axles of Annihilation. Evangelical clear, Bricktator on the scoring pass, room on the inside edge. Grabs points, calls off the jam. Smiles and high fives the team for clearing that lane. A 4-0 run, 241-26, 6.5 to go in the game. A nice quick 30-second jam. Stomps back out to jam against Hart. Stomps for the Axles of Annihilation in white. Hart jamming for arch rival in black and pink. And Hart, oh, beautiful, slides through, backwards, leg extended, extra style points for it, leading to the pointing and whistling. Lead jammer for Hart. Hart now ducking towards the into the left. Cloak and Dragger picking up a penalty that will thin out the arch rival pack. All 3 blockers now at the front, holding on to stomps. Swagatha moving forward to try and provide some offense for Rose City, but quickly absorbing that attempt as Hart is taken to the track on the inside, calls off the jam, and slowly skating back to the bench. Clearly shaken up on the play. 2 points up for Hart and arch rival. Score sitting now 243-26. And Hart returns to the bench. And we reset with Jedi Nightingale jamming against Angela Death. Angela Death forced out of bounds. Jedi Nightingale pushing at the front. Alter Eagle, MC Slammer, and Gaffney holding the line, but Jedi Nightingale, again, these are not the blockers you're looking for. Manages to sneak through or something. In any case, Scald Eagle had the star, but I believe that there was some sort of illegality on that star pass, so it was not complete. Angela Death bumped out of bounds, came back in, grabs the star, and then bumped out of bounds again. Jedi Nightingale on a scoring pass. As the clock ticking down, we're almost a minute into the jam, four or so on the clock for the game. Now the star pass is complete. Alter Eagle with that star, as Jedi Nightingale says, that's enough pushing against these people. We will call off the jam, grab 4 more, taking us to 247 to 26. Would like to thank the Buffalo Gap Saloon and Eatery. It's John's Landing's favorite eatery and saloon. So next time you're in John's Landing and looking for some saloon and or eatery action, head over to Buffalo Gap Saloon and Eatery. Pork chop slamwich jamming against Trinity. And Slamwich is through quickly. Grabs lead jammer. Got about 3 minutes to go as Trinity trapped at the back. As K-Woo holding on, trying to keep Trinity from handing that star off. Brute looking for it, but also trying to provide a little defense. Lux Furious heads to the penalty box for Arch Rival. That thins things down there. Pork chop slamwich trapped at the back. One Arch Rival skater trying to provide some offense. Vicious Van Gogo playing lead blocker and fullback mood, trying to break things free. Pork chop is finally clear. Pork chop slamwich with 4 points, and the pass from Trinity to Brute also complete. Brute grabs the star, pops it on the helmet, and Pork chop slamwich calls off the jam. Was it in time? Yes, it was. Arch Rival able to stay far enough ahead. 1 more point. 5 total, and we tick down to the 2-minute warning. 2:52 to 26. So we will see Arch Rival move forward to tonight's semifinal, where they will play against Denver. Coming up next, we will see Wheels of Justice playing Montreal. That will be at noon Pacific time. Number 10, Little Regulator with the star jamming against Swanson. Little Regulator was almost clear, but reabsorbed, and now the whole pack is just a big glob. As Arch Rival, only 2 blockers on the track, but managing to maintain, or they're up to 3 now. They were 2 to start with, able to keep Little Regulator from getting through. And regrouping into a tripod at the back and forcing Regs out again. As 1900 Cloak and Dragger pulls it back. Swanson finally clears. Collecting lead as we're down to a minute or so, a minute and change to go in the game. Swanson bumps in. Jam clock is more time than the period clock, so this could be the final jam should Arch Rival choose. We're down to 1 minute in the period, 1:05 on the jam clock. Star pass off to Habanero Romero. As Swanson ducking, tucks back, and does call off the jam. We will get 1 more jam out of the way. Swanson picked up 3 on that last pass. 7 total on the jam now, 2:59 to 26. And for our final jam of the game, first game of day 2 of the hometown throwdown, number 48 Bricktator will square off with 316 Evangelical. Both teams full strength. 14 seconds on the period clock, 2 minutes. Now, minute 55 now on the jam clock. Evangelical pushing towards the front. Brute trying to provide some offense. Trying to bust free the extra defender, number 23, Pegasus, from getting to the pack, but now we're losing a blocker for the Rose City. And Bricktator grabs lead, calls off the jam, and that will do it. Your unofficial final score, which is fairly final since there were no points in this last jam. Arch rival roller derby 259, Rose City's Axles of Annihilation 26. With the win, as I mentioned, Arch rival moves into our semifinal matchup with Denver. That game at 6 p.m. Pacific tonight. And the Axles of Annihilation move into our consolation bracket 5th place game tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. They will play the loser of the upcoming game, Wheels of Justice versus Montreal. Wheels of Justice will take on Montreal at 12 p.m. Pacific, which, if I look at my clock, is in about 40 minutes. So we will be back with that game. In the meantime, I'm Scott Chicken. You have been watching the Hometown Throwdown. Stick around for more, again, in about 40 minutes.